Welcome back to You Can Understand Shakespeare. We are on Act 4 of Romeo and Juliet. That's right, 3 down, 2 to go. I am John Donovan. I'll be taking you through the 3 obstacles, the 3 P's that prevent us from properly understanding Shakespeare. Performance, poetry, prior knowledge. If you're on Act 4, you probably get the deal already, so let's just hop into it. Act 4, Scene 1. Enter Friar Lawrence and County Paris. They again are mid-conversation. On Thursday, sir. The time is very short. They're talking about the marriage that's going to happen on Thursday. Paris, my father Capulet will have it so, and I am nothing slow to slack his haste. He's already calling Capulet his father, just like how Capulet's already calling him his son, because on Thursday, if everything happens as they expect it will, they'll be married, they'll be in-laws. You say you do not know the lady's mind. Uneven is the course. I like it not. The course, what they're walking upon, is uneven. It has unsure footing, so I don't like this. Immoderately she weeps for Tybalt's death. Too much she weeps for Tybalt's death. And therefore have I little talk of love. For Venus, Roman goddess of love, smiles not in a house of tears. Now, sir, her father counts it dangerous that she do give her sorrow so much sway, and in his wisdom hastes our marriage to stop the inundation of her tears. So this is to help her. We're going to try and cheer her up. You might do the same thing with a friend who's sad. Oh, we got to find some way to distract them, get their mind off things, help them out a little bit. So in his wisdom, he hastes our marriage to stop the inundation of her tears, which, too much minded, brooded over by herself alone, may be put from her by society. It might cast her out of society. She might be isolated because of this. Now do you know the reason of this haste? Now you know why we're hurrying. So Paris, good guy. He wants to help Juliet, and he also loves her as far as he knows. Friar Lawrence has an aside. He's speaking to himself. I would always means I wish it were so. I would I knew not why it should be slowed, the secret marriage of Romeo and Juliet. At which point Juliet enters, and he says, look, sir, here comes the lady toward my cell. And Paris says, happily met my lady and my wife. He's already calling her wife, even though they're not married yet. That may be, sir, when I may be a wife. That may be, must be, love, on Thursday next. And Juliet just answers, what must be, shall be. Friar says, that's a certain text, that's true. Come you to make confession to this father, come to confess your sins to this father. To answer that, I should confess to you. Well, so she's being very short and very wittical. Wittical's not a word. She's being very witty with him. Do not deny to him that you love me. So as you are confessing things, you have to tell the truth in confession. Don't deny that you love me. I will confess to you that I love him. She does love the friar. So will ye, I am sure, that you love me. And just as you confess now to me that you love him, I'm sure that you will confess to him that you love me. If I do so, it will be of more price, of more value being spoke behind your back than to your face. If you say that you like someone behind their back, it means more than to their face, because there's no reason for you to lie to their face. People are liars. And so whatever you say behind their back has usually a little bit more value, a little bit more truth. So that's just her way of getting out of saying it to Paris's face. At which point he's going to try and be a little bit compassionate and say, poor soul, thy face is much abused with tears. And Juliet counters, the tears have got small victory by that. They haven't achieved much. For it, my face, was bad enough before their spite. Paris says, oh, thou wrongst it, your face, more than tears with that report. The report that your face was not much abused by tears because it was already pretty bad. He says, you're wronging your face. You are doing it wrong. That is no slander, sir. Slander is telling falsehood, which is a truth. And what I spake, which is just a different way to say spoke, past tense, speak. And what I spake it to my face. And Paris is going to he feels offended by this. And it's out of love for Julia. He says, well, thy face is mine, and thou hast slandered it. If they were to get married, then Juliet's face would be his, because in marriage they have given themselves totally to one another. I am yours, you are mine. Therefore, Juliet's face would rightly be Paris's, just as Paris's would be rightly hers. So thy face is mine, and thou hast slandered it. It may be so, for it is not mine own, and this is ambiguous because her face belongs to Romeo, just as Romeo's face belongs to her. It may be so, for it's not my own. And now there's that dash, meaning she's changing who she's talking to. Are you at leisure, Holy Father, now, or shall I come to you at evening Mass? Mass is the ritual, the liturgy that Catholics celebrate. My leisure serves me, pensive daughter, now. Pensive, sorrowful, thoughtful. My lord, this is to Paris, we must entreat the time alone. And so you need to leave us alone. So Paris said, God shield, I should disturb devotion. God shield, being God protect, that God forbid that I should disturb devotion to God. Then he turns to Juliet. Juliet, on Thursday early, I will rouse thee from your sleep. I will wake you up and for the wedding. Till then, adieu, French for goodbye, and keep this holy kiss. And that is a stage note that he should kiss her. A lot of times in modern plays, there's italics. There's a parentheses and they have italics and says this is what the actor's doing. And that by no means is that exhaustive, and by no means do you have to listen to it. The director and the actors may come up with other things for the actors to do. But one way that Shakespeare really hides a lot of acting notes is by putting it into the action. Like earlier when Friar Lawrence says, Romeo, get off the ground. That lets us know that Romeo has thrown himself on the ground prior. Or keep this holy kiss means that they are going to kiss. He's going to kiss her goodbye. And then we do have an actual stage note, which is exit, but Shakespeare doesn't give us a lot of stage notes, a lot of action notes. He usually leaves it to the text. So Juliet, once he's gone, immediately drops her facade. Oh, shut the door, and when thou hast done so, come weep with me, past hope, past care, past help. Oh, Juliet, I already know thy grief. It strains me past the compass, past the limits of my wits. I hear thou must, and nothing may prorogue it, on Thursday next be married to this county. And prorogue means prolong. So I hear that you're going to be married and nothing can prolong it. Tell me not, friar, that thou hearest of this, unless thou tell me how I may prevent it. If in thy wisdom thou canst give no help, do thou but call my resolution wise. My resolution is this action that I have set out to do, like a New Year's resolution. If you can't help me, then say what I want to do is wise. And with this knife, I'll help it presently. At the present moment, I will help my resolution. I'll stab myself. God joined my heart and Romeo's. Thou, you, Father Lawrence, our hands, you joined our hands, literally in marriage. And ere this hand, ere means before, and before this hand, by thee to Romeo sealed, shall be the label to another deed. Before this hand signs another wedding document. The label is a ribbon attaching a seal to a legal document, and so a pledge confirming another marriage. So before this hand signs another wedding document, or before my true heart with treacherous revolt turn to another from Romeo to Paris, this knife shall slay them both. Therefore, out of thy long experience time, give me, so out of your many years, your long experience of life that should make you wise, give me some present counsel. Or, behold, and she draws the knife. Twixt, meaning between my extreme difficulties, and me, this bloody knife shall play the umpire, arbitrating that which the commission of thy years and art could to no issue of true honor bring, which the commission, the authority of thy years and art, your learning. One way that Shakespeare will use art is not how we refer to art now necessarily, but it could just be what you know about something. So, I mean, there's lots of arts. Like, oh, I know the art of driving. Well, is it an art? It is for some people who are very fantastic at it. Generally just means that I know how to do the thing well. So, my knife will cut me away from this extreme difficulty if you, with your years and your learning, cannot bring about the means for my true honor to stand, which is to remain faithful to my husband Romeo. Be not so long to speak, I long to die. If what thou speakst, speak not of remedy. Remedy is a cure for a problem. And Friar Lawrence, who just yesterday was stopping Romeo from doing the very same action, says, Hold, daughter, I do spy a kind of hope, which craves as desperate as reckless an execution as that is desperate, which we would prevent. So this execution is a performance or a killing. He is making a pun. He's not making a pun to be funny. It's just these are clever characters, and they know that words can accomplish more than one thing at a time. So he says that I spy a kind of hope. I see the hope, and this hope craves as desperate an execution, which is as reckless a performance as let's execute the plan. It doesn't mean let's kill the plan, it means let's carry the plan out. But it's just as desperate an execution as this self-slaughter, as that is desperate, hopeless, which we would prevent. If, rather than to marry County Paris, thou hast the strength of will to slay thyself, then it is likely thou wilt undertake a thing like death to chide away his shame, that coped with death himself to escape from it. That coped who wrestles with death himself to escape from it, the shame of Miriam. And if thou darest, I'll give thee remedy. So if you're brave enough to kill yourself, I bet you're probably brave enough for this plan that I'm about to tell you, which is to undertake a thing like death. Oh, bid me leap rather than marry Paris from off the battlements of any tower, or walk in thievish ways, a way that's a dangerous road that's beset with thieves. Or bid me lurk where serpents are, chain me with roaring bears, or hide me nightly in a charnel house, a burial vault, nightly bury me in a tomb. Or card quite with dead men's rattling bones, with reeky shanks and yellow chapless skulls. Or bid me go into a new-made grave and hide me with a dead man in his shroud. Things that to hear them told have made me tremble, and I will do it without fear or doubt, to live an unstained wife to my sweet love. And that's all pretty straightforward. There's times when throughout Shakespeare's works, they're going to give a list of various things. And if you miss the very beginning, you're going to be lost. So she's saying, bid me leap rather than marry Paris off the battlements of any tower, or walk in thievish ways. So rather than marry Paris, bid me do any of these things that make me tremble when I hear about them, and I will gladly do it if it means that I can live as an unstained wife, as a faithful wife to my sweet love, Romeo. Friar Lawrence says, hold then. So wait, don't do anything rash. Go home, be merry, give consent to marry Paris. Wednesday is tomorrow. Tomorrow night, look that thou lie alone, so be sure that you lie alone. Let not the nurse lie with thee in thy chamber, because sometimes servants would sleep with, not sleep in a sexual manner, but just actually share the room or share a bed with someone. Let not the nurse lie with thee in thy chamber. Take thou this vial, so you'd pull out a little vial. Take thou this vial, being then in bed, and this distilling liquor drink thou off. Drink this liquor. And it's not whiskey. It's liquor is being used as a synonym for the contents of it. And this distilling liquor drink thou off, which presently through all thy veins shall run a cold and drowsy humor. The humor is a bodily fluid. It's a fluid that's going to make you cold and drowsy. It's going to put you to sleep. But you'll also be cold. And he says, for no pulse shall keep his native progress. Your pulse is progressing through your body, so your pulse is going to stop. It will surcease, which means it will stop, cease. No warmth, no breath shall testify thou livest. The roses in thy lips and cheeks shall fade to waney ashes. Waney meaning pale. Thy eyes' windows, the lids. So if you can see through it, the things that prevent it are the lids. So your eyes' windows fall like death when he shuts up the day of life. Each part, each body part, each part deprived of supple government. Government is it'll be deprived of the thing that tells it to move and act. Shall stiff and stark and cold appear like death. And in this borrowed likeness of shrunk death, thou shalt continue 42 hours. So it's a borrowed likeness, which means that it looks like death, but it's borrowed, meaning it's not actually death. You're going to continue for 42 hours and take 42 hours. And then awake as from a pleasant sleep. Now, when the bridegroom in the morning comes to rouse thee from thy bed, there art thou dead. And the bridegroom is going to be Paris. Then, as the manner of our country is, in thy best robes, uncovered on the bier of a funeral bed, be borne, carried to burial in thy kindred's grave. And this would be that the Capulets would have a whole mausoleum where all of the ancestors are buried. So you'd be carried in your best robes on a bier to the grave. Thou shalt be borne to the same ancient vault where all the kindred of the Capulets lie. In the meantime, against thou shalt awake, in preparation for when you shall awake, shall Romeo by my letters know our drift, know our scheme. And here shall he come, and he and I will watch thy waking, and that very night shall Romeo bear thee hence to Mantua. And this shall free thee from this present shame, if no inconstant toy, fickle whim, nor womanish fear abate thy valor in the acting it. So if there's no fickle whim or womanish fear, again, remember Friar Lawrence is a little sexist, abate thy valor, thy courage in acting this out. Juliet says, give me. And this is to the vial, the vial that's going to help this happen. So she's desperate for it. Oh, tell me not of fear. Friar says, hold, get you gone. Be strong and prosperous in this resolve. I'll send a friar with speed to Mantua, with my letters to thy lord. So he's going to send one of his brothers, another friar like him, with a letter to Romeo explaining what they're going to do, to fill him in. Love, give me strength, and strength shall help afford. Farewell, dear father. And she leaves. So here's the big plan. Juliet is going to fake her death And when she's buried in the grave, Friar Lawrence and Romeo are going to go dig her up, and they're going to run away and live happily ever after. So there it is. And one has to ask, if Juliet's disagreement for marrying Paris is that her family casts her out and she's not acknowledged by her family anymore and she doesn't have any claim to her inheritance, why not just run away to Mantua? Why fake her death? Because it's going to amount to the same thing. But she's young, and she's not going to pause to question it, because she said, look, the only other thing that can happen is I kill myself. So she's not really thinking. She is just as fast moving as she's ever been. Because remember, this is only day 3 of Romeo and Juliet. They met on Sunday night, and it's only Tuesday now. Right? So Friar Lawrence, when we first met him in Act 2, was gathering herbs, and he's talking about how these various herbs can do various things. All of it good in the proper proportion. So it totally makes sense that he would be able to make some type of potion or liquor that could cause Juliet to fake her death. So it's all checking out. And we might say, why are they doing all this? And that's a really good question for you to answer in your English class or book club or on your own. Because I'm just here to help you understand the text. So this has been Act 4, Scene 1, and I'll help you understand the text of Act 4, Scene 2 in the next video. Thanks for listening.